Stepping up on me. And welcome to the BCM podcast. I'm today's host, Brad Swale. To my top left is Charles, giving that big old smile. Thank you, Charles. Michael Searle to my top right. We have our, our X tags, X names, whatever. It's like X-Men, right?
Twitter handles.
Twitter handles? Yes, handles. Y'all, if y'all hear that beep, I apologize. I'm going to close that Telegram right now. Welcome to the show. Please, what?
What's that Telegram about?
Don't worry about it.
Are you Q?
17, right? That's how old I am. I was born in 1970. Yeah, whatever. Anyhow, Q is the 17th letter. So anytime 17, like when Donald Trump was leaving the White House in 2021, I guess it was, and doing that final speech, there was like 17 flags behind him, and people were like, "Oh fuck, it's Q, bro. What's up?" And I see a little bit of resurgence of Q every now and then, but I don't think is Q going to have the same influence that he had? I don't know. And in today's political sphere, as they did in the first Trump term.
I don't think so.
We can speculate, but we can ask the same question: is Watashi Wasa going to have the same influence that he had when he started Bitcoin? No. So we move on.
That's true. We move on. And, one day we'll find out that maybe if Tulsi Gabbard, we'll be talking about Coconut Milk Mommy a little bit today. If she gets confirmed, will we find out who Watashi Sakamoto is? You know what I mean?
Watashi Sakamoto.
Huh?
Watashi Sakamoto?
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yamaguchi Hamaguchi. Toyota Nissan. So what? That's his name, right? So we got obviously a lot of news this week. We had if you share this on your Twitter, I think Michael maybe will send you a free hat. So do that.
It's over there.
Well, if you might win a free hat if you share it on Twitter.
Yeah, you got to do something here or there. So we got the RFK Jr. and Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard hearings happen they're not done. I think they're still happening here and there. What does Charles think happened with the helicopter? School choice, is it going to pass in Texas? We're going to talk about it. And is Vivek cooked? And we'll throw in some other stuff here and there. So where do we start today, guys? Do we start with the confirmation hearings?
Well, it's your show. We're just here for the ride.
Oh, I was going to ask, are we going to get rid of the income tax?
Probably not.
No.
Why do you say that? Oh, here, last week, Michael, you were saying that I poo-poo all this stuff. Nothing happens. You're you're a real negative Nancy. Nancy Mace over here. Why are you negative? But why are you so down on this? Why not replace the IRS with the ERS?
I love it. The idea. It's just not going to happen. It's too heavy of a lift.
Okay.
Too heavy of a lift.
Okay. Why?
Well, because the three primary drivers of the federal budget are Medicaid, Medicare, the defense budget, and the debt. So which one are you going to get rid of? Which one of those are you going to get rid of to not pay for?
The debt.
Tell the banks that. Yeah, no, they're going to pay the debt. They're going to keep paying for Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, and they're going to keep the defense budget relatively the same. So the only way you get rid of the IRS and income tax is if you drastically reduce the size and the spending of the federal government, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll come down some, which will be good, and that's positive change, but enough to get rid of the income tax, I doubt that happens.
Well, I'm sorry for looking at my second computer screen, guys. I know that bothers one of our listeners, and
and me, because it's all you do. Every time we look over, it's like,
sorry, you cut out. What'd you say?
I said that every time you.
So anyhow, what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about we're going to start with the helicopter plane crash, because I think that's probably the biggest news over the past couple of days. I was on the radio the past couple of days, and gosh darn it, did we talk about it a lot. And we have Valentina Gomez. Everyone knows who she is. She's what? Why are you shaking your head? You don't know who she is?
Nope.
Valentina Gomez. She ran for Missouri Secretary of State, and I think she's supposedly going to challenge Dan Crenshaw down in Texas for a congressional seat. And this is what she had to say about the plane crash. Valentina Gomez, everybody.
America is under attack. The chance of a helicopter and a commercial plane colliding in the most secure airspace in America is 1 in a million. Both of their tracking signals went offline in the exact same spot. So I know for a fact this was no accident, especially when it involves a military helicopter. I want the truth, but I have faith because Pete Hegseth is Secretary of Defense and Kristi Noem is Homeland Security.
Noem.
To finding out who is responsible for this.
Who is responsible for it? Well, she says that it's a 1 in a million chance, and she must be very accurate. Certainly, 1 in a million sounds perfectly accurate. There's about 1 million planes that take off and land all over the place, along with all the helicopters, and it only happens once a year, so it's a 1 in a million chance. She did the math. And Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem are going to solve it. So that's Valentina Gomez, everybody. I hope she beats Dan Crenshaw.
She's intense. She needs to get laid.
She needs to get what?
I'm just going to say it. Laid.
Laid
She's laid. Calm down, lady. She's running around calling all the men in the world, what does she call them, faggots? And then she's like, she needs some. Sorry. Is that what she says?
Oh.
Well, you started the show with this lady that just runs around calling everybody the F word, and she clearly has some problems of her own. And I'm just going to say that she's having man problems, and maybe she needs to solve them.
Well, she does have a mouth on her, and that's for sure. And she, the way that she says it, it's free speech and it's American. I'll say whatever I want, and she'll call you the F word if you call her out on it. So, Charles, what do you think about this helicopter plane crash? Did the New York Times tell you that it's okay to question it?
I don't know what the New York Times said, but what I do know is it's terrible. It's a terrible accident that happened, and I do think that there obviously need to be answers. I mean, this is like the United States government caused this to happen. This was a United States government helicopter that was allegedly flying without lights, using night vision goggles at night, on a night with the moon not out, so it was extra dark, in the direct path of an American Airlines regional jet that was on the right course. Like, the jet wasn't told to move. The jet couldn't see the helicopter because apparently from where the helicopter was coming from, it was in the blind spot. So there was nothing that jet could have done differently. This was purely the fault of the United States government. And so...
You think you're saying that Trump did this on purpose?
That's not what he's saying.
That's how I took it.
Say that we get, and a lot of the conversation I keep hearing about this is like, oh, it was a military helicopter. Like, it was, but like, I don't know that people were like actually like saying like this is it's the fault of the United States government. And there's no way you can make it right because you've killed all these people, but this is the fault of the United States government. Why does the government allow training in direct line paths? Or maybe the pilot was not following orders and was doing something wrong, but that's the answers we need to know. But regardless of how you shake it out, it's still the fault of the U.S. government.
Is it the fault of the U.S. government, or is it the fault of the pilot who works for the U.S. government?
Right. So if you are working for Penske and you're driving a Penske truck and you get in an accident, it's Penske's fault.
They could be held liable, yes, if they did something.
As long as you're not like drunk or something. And like,
yeah. Well, do we know that this person wasn't drunk?
Okay. Well, let's slow down, guys. All right. Slow down just a touch. So this was a training mission for the helicopter for a COG. Do you know what COG stands for? I'm going to tell you anyway, but I don't know if I can pronounce the first word correctly, but I'm going to try my best. Continuity of government. Is that right?
Continuity.
There we go. Continuity of government, a COG mission. And there was only 3 people on the helicopter. Typically there's 4 on these types of things, flying too high, 400 feet as opposed to 200 feet. And it's not just like you can do 201, 250, like it's 200. You fly at 200. Mm-hmm. And we know 2 people that were on board the helicopter. We don't know who the third was. And it kind of, were there night vision goggles? That's been reported as well. And if you're flying around at night with night vision goggles and it's totally dark, no big deal. But if you got a bunch of, I don't know, light pollution from a major city and airports and airplanes, it's going to be kind of hard to see. Now, the question is, I think it was last summer, Lockheed Martin came out with a press release that said, what are y'all doing?
Nothing.
The hell's happening? Lockheed Martin came out with a press release last summer, I believe it was, talking about the ability to fly these types of helicopters autonomously.
What?
I know. There was a big...
have any more of that. I just dropped something.
The hell?
Just keep going.
Anyhow, so there was only 3 people on the helicopter, and we don't know who the third person's name is. We know 2 of them. There was a lot of talk this morning, a lot of chatter on the social medias about a trans woman, Joe Ellis, who was supposedly the third person, unidentified. But she came out with a video. He came out with a video. What do we say here? Like proof of life. Like, hey, that wasn't me, guys. What's going on here? So my guess is that it was a training mission, continuity of government, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want Donald Trump to be able to fly around on a helicopter if a major disaster happens, and you might not have pilots. You may want to have something autonomous to be able to do it. Maybe you're trying that out, and you have 3 people in, and the 4th person's the autonomous one. Just 3 people in there trying to make, see what's going on. If you look at the video, I'm sure I can pull it up. Oh, I do want to pull up this video.
Pull up the video, because you guys keep saying there were no lights and night vision goggles. There's clearly lights on the helicopter.
No, there was lights. What I'm saying is that the night vision goggles are not going to work. They work great if there are no lights.
Got it.
Right. But if there are lights, then it blinds you. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie or not, but based on the history of the show, neither one of you have seen any movies or TV.
So
Titanic doesn't count. So here's the flight path. The orange one is not a helicopter. It misses that first plane. Interesting, right? And then it goes around. That's the helicopter. I know it looks like a plane, but it's a helicopter. Missed the second one. Boom. Weird. Sorry about the buzzing in the background. Makes erratic move towards the third. Misses it.
Wait, this is the same helicopter that night?
No, this is a live view of other helicopters right now. I'm just showing it for no reason.
Wait, is this a real video?
Yes, it's a real video.
I mean, like a authentic video, not obviously it's real.
Authentic.
Because it looked like that helicopter tried to hit that plane.
Yeah,
it did, didn't it? Didn't it look like that? Erratic move, boom, and that's how it goes. So there's this video. Don't do that to me. I don't want to listen to you. I want to present you. Share screen. Helicopter path. Here we go.
3.
I had to go along.
In the videos ahead, we'll take a closer look at the final hours leading up to the crash. The confusion between the Pat 25 V.
There was a long way for that helicopter to travel before hitting that plane. Like it made a beeline straight to that plane. And guess what, Michael? What was the number of the landing strip that the plane was trying to land on?
17.
33. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, interesting.
Uh-oh. Charles lost. So we had that tragic loss of life, as Charles said, breaking that news here on BCM. It is a tragic loss of life. You are correct. It's a real shame. I don't think there's any survivors as far as I've heard. And, what is it? Donald Trump says it is maybe DEI.
Did he say maybe? I thought he was pretty sure about that. And here's the thing with Donald Trump. He's privy to information that we're not privy to. I mean, I would assume he was given probably the most thorough intelligence possible on what just happened, like minutes after it happened or within the hour. So he knows stuff we don't know. The interesting detail that I heard was, didn't air traffic controller like tell them or say to them, hey, you see the plane? Mm-hmm. And they responded, yes. And then about 7 to 10 seconds later, the crash happened. Yes. What was that about?
The speculation is that he saw a different plane and was confirming he's in what he thought was that plane, and said he saw it and then recognized how close he was to the actual plane. The other speculation is that with him going up, or her, I guess it was a woman flying, going up, and then obviously being in DC with all the lights on full blast, they saw, I mean, it could have been headlights from the road, lights at buildings, beams and beacons on things, and mistook one of those for it and still said yes. To your point about Trump being privy to information, though, I agree. He said something. Well, he talked about the DI, I think, at the press conference, and they pushed him on it. And then he came back, and I thought he cleaned it up really well, because he was like, they were like, are you blaming us directly on DEI? As though he was saying that the FAA controller was hired based on DEI, and that's why this happened, or the pilot or whatever else. But he went on to say that the FAA and all these other organizations had changed rules. They lowered the standards, and by bringing on people because of DEI, it then doubles the work on other people who are more competent, and they have to then pick up the slack for others. And then later what came out was that the flight controller who was communicating with the helicopter, they had changed shifts earlier, and he was working both the incoming and outgoing flights or something like that, whereas it's supposed to be two separate people. But because they changed it and then combined it and put it on him, they weren't saying that necessarily resulted in this, but that was certainly an added stress to the system of him having to do two jobs.
Well, here's a Daily Mail article from January 14th, 2024. FAA launches recruitment campaign for workers with severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and physical issues to hit woke DEI targets. Kind of wild. Now, were any of these people in the control tower, did they have severe intellectual disabilities or psychiatric problems? My understanding is that flight tower controllers it's a pretty stressful job. So I don't know how you determine, I feel like that job gives you psychiatric problems, but was anybody in there? Were they severely mentally disabled? I don't know. Charles is here. He's not there. I'm not really sure how that works, but, but it's not, I think it's a fair question to ask, right? Of course, if you're going to hire people based on quotas for whether it's race or it's gender or it's psychiatric disabilities, in a position of, you have people's lives in your hands, you'd think that might mess things up, and you think it would be a logical conclusion to say, hey, yeah, maybe this is something to do with it, right?
I don't know. After listening to you guys talk about this for the last 15 minutes and then a little bit of listening I did to it, I think this is just a tragedy that happened, and like people want to point fingers, and I get that, but like shit goes wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
And whoever's at fault got the ultimate like punishment. Well, you know what I mean? So yeah. So I don't know. Was it intentional? I don't know. I guess we'll find out more as things come out, but it looks to me like something just really went wrong, and a lot of people lost their life, and that's pretty sad.
So we'll move on, but we'll conclude this with Michael Searle throwing a curveball, thinking that there's nothing nefarious and everything is above board and as reported. Charles,
I need a little bit more before I'm going to go, yeah, something's going on there.
Literally, like the craziest person in the world could call you up and say, I saw an alien, and you'd believe it.
Yeah, because I'm already bought into that conspiracy. Cognitive dissonance. Come on now.
Charles maybe is surprisingly questioning it a little bit.
What has happened here?
What has happened? All that McDonald's has gone to Michael's head.
Oh my God. Anyhow, well, and I think that my guess is that it was an autonomous mishap is my guess, but will we ever know? I would think once the full report comes out in about a year, there's going to be some redactions if that's the case.
A year?
That's how long it's going to take for a full report.
In 65 years?
Yeah, the NTSB yesterday said the guy was like, it could take 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when they do issue these reports, like if it's a single plane crash, a lot of times you might get it that quick. But something like this, I feel like we're going to be waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and by that time, who knows where we'll be? Will there even be in America? Or will we have, will Canada be our 51st state and Greenland our 52nd? Who knows? So let's start with some confirmation hearings. Here is RFK Jr. getting an onslaught.
Making money selling child's products to parents for 26.
God, that's hard to listen to. I'm sorry. So
is Liz Warren maybe the most unhinged human being that you've ever seen? She's got to be. Did you watch her?
Oh, I do. I do.
Oh my god.
What I was curious about is why his hearing took place with Senate Finance. Why is it not? I mean, is there not a Health and Human Services Committee?
No, it took place in both.
Oh, in both. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's RFK Jr. and his interaction with Elizabeth Warren. We'll just listen to a little bit of this.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary.
She has a weird shaped head. Doesn't she?
I mean, you know.
Yeah, parents left her on her head too much.
Would you say that she, like, as a baby, she was laid flat on a board?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people that do that.
Yes, if you
they do that in Native American culture.
I've read that before.
Influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts.
And then isn't that the sticking point? I mean, that's a sticking point for me. You could remove, she says, special vaccine panels and open them up to tort. Vaccine. What she's talking about is the fact that vaccine manufacturers have special immunity for all their products, and you cannot sue them for the vaccine injury, mishap, or whatever you want to call it. And it's very difficult to prove. And if you do get a chance to go before, I don't know, a tribunal, let's say, it's going to be government, and the government's going to pay you, not the vaccine manufacturers. And that's what she's talking about. They're going to open up to tort. Elizabeth Warren, stop it. You're a real witch.
You could make more injuries eligible for compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefits.
It's all just junk lawsuits, guys. This is all junk. All the people that say that my child was injured by a vaccine, they're all fucking liars, and they should be shoved in the furnace because they're assholes, right? And they can't, how dare they possibly want to get compensation for the pain and suffering and financial losses that these products created.
Them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program.
Okay, I can't. She's a witch. She's a real.
That was calm, Liz Warren. The other clip where she starts screaming was the one I was referring to.
It's at the end of that clip, and she does scream at him because he's like, "You get paid by all these pharmaceutical companies.
No,
who are you?"
He said, "You're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies," and she said, "No, I'm not," or whatever in her voice. She's
Liz Warren.
The whole thing was pretty painful. I watched a good chunk of it. It was all like, I get that it's prescribed by the Constitution, but it's all predetermined. Everybody just wants clickbait and like, I don't know. It's kind of pointless. Nobody's changing their mind. Nobody's asking questions. The Democrats are just berating him. They're not asking him questions, giving him time to respond. And the Republicans, are just asking him nice questions so he can give good responses. So it's like, I don't know. The whole confirmation process seems pretty outdated to me, but it's in the Constitution.
I was looking on my second screen again. I am really sorry for doing that. Charles, what do you have?
I already spoke, but you were looking at the second screen, so you didn't hear. But I'll say it again.
Please.
Yeah, vaccines are crazy. No, I'm kidding.
That's my point.
No, I actually do agree with Michael about the confirmation thing. Like, this whole thing is just purely a show. Not even just for him. I feel like all of them have been. Like, what do you get? I mean, I know that there's a process we have to follow, but there's just not much information that actually comes out about these nominees and anything that wouldn't have been dug up by the media anyway. Like, you're not really getting into these big revelations that would help you determine whether someone is qualified or not. So it's just purely show and for fundraising talking points.
Well, couldn't they just lie, right? Like, couldn't RFK Jr. just be like, "You're right, Elizabeth Warren, I don't want to do that," and just like deflate the whole thing? Like, what's the
probably? But I think you could. If I'm assuming that they can also like impeach directors. I mean, secretaries and stuff. So like,
on what ground? Okay, you told me this, and you told me this in the hearing, and now I'm going to impeach you. Okay, well, things changed.
I mean, look at where we are as a country, though. Like to say that wouldn't happen, like if they have the path to do that, it probably would happen.
Well, they're under oath, so not that matter. Not that matters. Anthony Fauci, James Clapper, not that matters, but they are under oath, and I think that in the case of RFK and Tulsi, which we'll get to, I think they actually have beliefs and they're willing to stand by them. I can tell that both of those guys are shifting a little bit, or both of those people are shifting a little bit in their views to try to appease some of the senators, all those octogenarians who they have to get their votes from. But the broader issue, I'm going to totally take us off topic. The broader issue is they got to confirm RFK.
Okay.
They have to. The Maha mommies that voted Trump, that are like, they're fired up about RFK. This is a lot of people. I know a lot of people who voted Trump because of RFK.
Yeah.
Really?
And if they don't confirm him, they're gone. They'll be completely disillusioned. They already thought the political process was bullshit. They came into it because they believe in RFK. He got this olive branch of becoming HHS secretary, and now it's like one senator, Dr. Cassidy from Louisiana, who's going to determine the fate of the Republican Party going forward. Trump has to go all in, not just on RFK, but on Tulsi too, but in particular on RFK.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That movement it's so interesting. When I wish somebody would write about like the history of like the Crunchy Mom movement and how they've gone back and forth, and like, because it is very interesting. And yeah, I mean, in order to solidify them, they've got to confirm RFK. Are they going to? If they've got to confirm him, but he's probably also the most difficult to confirm, other than maybe if they would have kept Matt Gaetz.
I think Tulsi is in the most trouble of the current ones, but RFK is hanging by a thread. Callie Means went on Megyn Kelly's show last night and made a personal plea to Cassidy, because that tells me that he has lost 3 votes, the typical people that you would lose: Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Cassidy, who's a doctor, and wanted him to say vaccines don't cause autism in the hearing, and he didn't, is like on the fence. And if he loses him, JD Vance can't be the tiebreak, and RFK doesn't get confirmed. Unless at that point Trump's like, screw you guys, I'm doing recess appointments, and then does it that way. But
how do recess appointments work? Can you explain that to me?
Senate has to go on recess for more than 10 days, and in which case the president can make temporary appointments to these positions. So he would be an interim director of HHS because the Senate was out of session for more than 10 days.
And how long can you be an interim HHS director?
Indefinitely.
Oh, well then who cares? Let's do that. It's stupid. Why are we fooling around?
Yeah, but he'd have to get John Thune to agree, the Senate Majority Leader, to agree to recess for 10 days in order so that he could do that.
Charles?
I was going to say, I don't know about that Callie Means, but other than that.
I'm sorry, what don't you know about Callie Means?
Why did you guys both make that face at the same time?
I mean, it's an interesting, but like you're taking it back to Callie Means, and you're saying you don't know about Callie Means. I don't know if that's the brother or the sister. Honestly, they both have very feminine names.
Callie's the brother.
Callie's the brother. Okay, you could understand my confusion, right? Callie sounds like it could be a girl.
Sure.
No offense to Mr. Means. If you want to come on the show, I would happily have you on.
Absolutely.
Why are you going back to Callie Means? What don't you know about?
Not going back. Michael was talking, and then when he finished talking, I said what I was going to say. I mean, it wasn't like this was 30 minutes ago. He just said it.
True.
He said a lot of things. The point.
Right. I didn't want to interrupt. I was waiting until he finished.
I know, but that's an interesting thing to go back to. Of all the things that he said, I don't care. You're not a bad person, Charles. Relax, bud.
He just doesn't like Cali Means because Cali Means doesn't like seed oils. It's simple.
Well,
That simple?
does Cali Means have evidence that seed oils are actually bad? And Cali Means was on a podcast with Dr. Bowden, and he didn't really back her up. Dr. Bowden was that doctor who was giving ivermectin out here in Houston, and then Texas, I think it was Methodist, pushed her out. He didn't really back her up, and they got into a little Twitter spat over it, and it was very interesting.
It didn't back her up, but like on the idea of giving ivermectin, or
I don't know. I listen to the podcast.
Way to go, Charles. Way to bring it up. This is really awesome. We have Senator Wyden. I just wanted to pull this up real quick because Senator Wyden looks like a literal ghoul. I don't know how, like, the skin it's ghoulish. Is it plastic? Probably.
Testimony today under oath, you denied that you were anti-vaccine. But during a podcast interview in July of 2023, you said, quote, "No vaccine is safe and effective." In your testimony today, in order to prove you're not anti-vax, you note that all your kids are vaccinated. But in a podcast in 2020, you said, and I quote, "You would do anything, pay anything to go back in time and not vaccinate your kids." Kennedy, all of these things cannot be true. So, are you lying to Congress today when you say you are pro-vaccine? Or did you lie on all those podcasts? We have all of this on tape, by the way.
Senator, as you know, because it's been repeatedly debunked.
Or whatever. I just wanted to show that he's a ghoul. He looks awful. Who are these people? Why are these people in charge of anything?
Why are they so obsessed with vaccines?
It's a good question, Charles. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Why they're obsessed with vaccines?
Obsessed.
Like it's a religious fanaticism.
Because of money, I'm sure.
Okay, go on.
I mean, that's it. Like, there's no more to it. But to my point before, so I found the tweets. Here's what it says. So they were on a podcast together, the Danny Jones podcast, and it was Cali Means, Dr. Jack Cruz, Mary Tally Bowden, and it says that this was what some of the commentary from the Watcher said. Means came across as a shady politician. Lots of PR speak, very little substance. Mary and Jack are both doctors who deeply care for their patients, and Means disregarded that. My respect for the Means siblings is gone. Too many red flags for me in their background timing. When it comes to Dr. Bowden, I have the utmost respect. She risks everything for her patients. So there's a disagreement on the podcast, I'm assuming, about vaccines in general, but in mRNA shots. And he expressed caution, but I guess not enough caution for someone like Dr. Bowden who treats these patients regularly.
She's pretty radical on her positions, not in a bad way, just that she believes them very strongly. So I could see that. He doesn't really talk that much about vaccines. They're more on the health kick, right? Like the food.
About, like, the Means?
Cali Means.
Twins?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Means maybe. They more talk about the health stuff, though, rather than the vaccine stuff. And RFK, too. It's the senators who are bringing it back to his position on vaccines. I think the bigger issue, and what it took him a while to do in the confirmation, was like get it back to the fundamental thing. He said in the hearing, like, all this is like, who pays for what? Like, insurance? Is it HMOs? Is it like all of that is moving deck chairs on the Titanic? We have an obesity rate of 60%, which is driving all these healthcare problems in our country in the first place. And you guys want to argue about who's paying. I'm saying we should address the underlying issue, which is the food we're eating, and mostly the food we're eating, but all the other stuff too.
Well, could there be
as well?
Yeah, could there be something else that's going on with the health of America? I mean, here's RFK Jr. looking a little rough, but he is older, so he's got
70s.
He's rough. I know. I'm not. Calm down. I know you love him. I'm not. Just relax.
I mean, he does look a little rough.
It's fine. It's a stressful life. I get it.
A very high sun state. Like, why does his skin look that way?
I don't know.
Probably tanning.
Probably, definitely is. But I thought Michael would enjoy this. Let's watch this. There's not a lot of odds to this, so don't worry. We can just commentate as it goes on. So he's sitting there, looks down. What's he looking at? Looking a little antsy. Oh, what's he popping in his mouth right there, Michael?
Oh, it's got to be a Zin, or probably.
A Zin? Wait a minute. So someone who doesn't want us to eat good food is having Zins?
There's huge benefits to nicotine if you're not smoking it through your lungs, dude.
Okay, but no, you're not going to tell me that having a Zin is healthier than not having a Zin.
Well,
I don't know the answer to that. I know that there are a lot of benefits to nicotine, but I don't know if it offsets the downside of having a Zin. I don't know.
It's like saying me having one cigarette after the club is healthy. Just one.
If you can do just one, man, all power to you. That's hard.
So here it is. It's not a Zin. It's
Alp. Oh, is that Tucker's brand?
I think it's Tucker's brand. I'm sorry, Charles. That's probably very upsetting to you.
What is that? Chewing tobacco?
No, it's just it's another nicotine pouch. You know, is it better or worse than Zyn? Aren't they all basically the same? Like the one have additives and the other one doesn't. I don't know.
Somebody gave me a Zyn once, and I felt like I was on drugs.
Yeah, probably because you were on drugs. So
no, I was actually. I was not, but I felt like I was. I don't know what that.
What?
So what's gonna you guys think? Okay, yes, no. Is he confirmed? Yes or no?
Oh boy,
Brad, but
is RFK going to get confirmed?
Yes.
Oh, I think Vance is going to be the tiebreaker.
Boom, Charles.
I think not.
No, Michael's going to break the tie here, and he's going from emotion, not logic. Yes, he's going to get confirmed.
Oh,
okay. Good job. Good job. What about Tulsi Gabbard? You know, she says that they're not upset about her being a potential puppet for all the Mossads and the Putins and the Iranians. But they're afraid that she won't be their puppet. What are they really afraid of, Michael?
Different puppet masters.
What?
What are they really?
Puppet Masters is a great movie series, by the way. Puppet Master. You guys don't know what I'm talking about, but that's okay.
Yeah, because we're not losers.
What are they really afraid of?
Yes.
Well, her being director of national intelligence and having oversight of the CIA and all the intelligence, that's pretty scary. But I think on top of that, I think she's one of the most talented and honest politicians that probably exist. And that's pretty scary to them because they can't control her.
How do you define talented politician? I'm just curious.
Well, when I judge, honest, has principles, can articulate those principles in a way that people can resonate with, and they like people who are yes men, yes women, and she's not that. So
like honesty doesn't make you a successful politician.
I was saying in my terms.
Okay, well.
Is she not a superstar?
How you use your honesty can determine how successful you are or not.
Yeah. Is she not a superstar though?
Yeah, I mean, she certainly has a large following of independent minds of, left and right. She does a good job of bridging that gap. And, even though she's a Democrat and probably supports a lot of things that conservatives don't like, conservatives still like her because she goes against the system. Right. But if she were running for president against, I don't know, JD Vance, I think they'd probably still pick JD Vance.
Republicans would, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. About that.
So she got asked about Snowden a lot.
Yeah. Should be pardoned. Should have already been pardoned for crimes known and unknown.
Did she agree?
No. So you didn't see all this. She said he committed crimes, but in the commission of those crimes, he revealed very important information to the American people about what the government was doing. And she got pressed. Is he a traitor? That question over and over. Is he a traitor? And she would not say yes. And she wouldn't say no. And she didn't really articulate what her position was. And I think that because it's so simple-minded in DC and these, again, octogenarians have a particular worldview, I think her not saying he's a traitor is going to be the reason she doesn't get confirmed.
I think that's also maybe a dog whistle in a way, if you will, if you pardon my use of phrase, and that the word Snowden just saying Snowden gets a lot of conservatives worked up. There's a lot of people out there that are just like, Snowden's a traitor, and he should be hung from the gallows because he was a traitor against the United States. He revealed secrets, and how dare you do something like that, right? There's a lot of Republicans like that. I think when they just bring that up, huh?
Where?
Oh my God! I mean, your brother was like in the comments last time we were talking about Snowden, saying that he's a traitor.
But I think he changed his mind midway through.
Yeah, but it's his brother. But also, like, there's others out there, like standard Republicans. That
I agree, but I don't think there are a lot. Like, I don't think that is a widespread Republican belief.
I think it's a generational difference, actually. I think the people who grew up in the era of the Iraq War and the War on Terror and saw all the lies and bullshit, who are now Republicans that are anti-war, have a different perspective than Mitch McConnell, who freezes because of, never mind, than the Mitch McConnells of the world. And I will go to the mat on this one. Like, Snowden, yes, he should be pardoned. He did not reveal any secrets. He gave those documents to a journalist, and he said, definitely don't publish these, and then I'll leave it to your discretion as a journalist on what the public should know and what the public shouldn't know. If he wanted to enrich himself, he could have sold those to the Russian government or the Chinese government and made billions of dollars. He didn't do that. He gave them to a fucking journalist. And what did it reveal? It revealed that the U.S. government in mass was violating all of our Fourth Amendment rights, so much so that they even had to change the law, which they don't do, and also proved that James Clapper, the former head of DNI, who these idiots on the Senate whatever committee would prefer, was lying not just to them, but to all the American people when asked if he was spying on Americans. What the fuck are we talking about? Edward Snowden is a traitor. James Clapper is a traitor. End of rant.
Oh, Daddy's mad.
Clapper.
Charles, anything to add?
What am I supposed to say after that?
I don't know. Maybe we talk about Kash Patel. Kash Patel also going through the nomination process, or not the nomination process. He's been nominated, going through the confirmation process. And I'm going to try to find a clip here. Michael, do you have anything to say about Kash Patel?
Kash Patel? Yeah, probably. You want me to say it now?
Well, should I play this clip? Let's see. Let's play this clip.
Fortunately, Senator, yes. I don't want to get into those details of my family here. Let's get into a few of them.
Oh.
Well, if you look at the record from January 6th, where I testified before that committee, because of my personal information being released by Congress, I was subjected to a direct and significant threat on my life. And I put that information in the record. I had to move. In that threat, I was called a detestable, and I'll apologize if I don't get it all right, but it's in the record, a detestable.
Oh, gosh darn. What did he say?
What did he say?
I don't know. The clip cut off. What did he say?
Nightmare.
Nightmare, I think, is the N-word he was looking for. A detestable nightmare. But a lot of people weren't expecting that one, but he went out there and said it, and I guess he's allowed to say it, right?
Well, he said it.
But I mean, this is maybe the argument that I was trying to make with Kamala. She needs to come out and say the N-word so that people know that she's black. He came out and said that, so we know that he's actually from. That's what he's Middle Eastern or whatever.
That's not. I don't.
He's Indian.
Indian. Sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that you didn't. It's two wildly different things. But we knew he was Indian. Like, he wasn't. We weren't shocked by it. There was no question as to whether or not he was Indian, and so he could say it. It's a slur that is used against Indians and other brown people, and so if he wants to say it, he could say it.
I thought it was used against Middle Easterners more than Indians, but whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean the person that used it against them is probably not like a super. I don't think they really care, but
I think it's just used against brown people as a whole.
Yeah.
In the collective, all of those statements are taken out of grotesque context. And anyone that thinks my 16 years of service isn't exemplary on how I would proceed if confirmed as FBI is intentionally putting false information into the public ether and creating more public discourse. The only thing that will matter if I'm confirmed as a director of the FBI is a de-weaponized, depoliticized system of law enforcement, completely devoted to rigorous obedience of the Constitution and a singular standard of justice.
Do you think that's true? He's talking about not politicizing the FBI, the justice system against political enemies. Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Do I think it's true? I think he believes it's true, but he has a point of view, which he will apply to the application of the law. And where Democrats commit crimes, he's probably not going to go easy on them.
Okay,
and then everybody will say he's politicizing it. But if they committed crimes, then they should be punished. But I haven't gone down the Kash Patel rabbit hole. That was like, I watched some of the hearing. My favorite part was with him and Senator Kennedy, which was funny. But I was pretty impressed by him. I've heard a lot about him. Like, he has some far out views, which I appreciate. We need more people with far out views in the government, but I think he's going to fly by with the Republicans and have no problem getting confirmed. And I was impressed.
Yeah, I agree. When they first announced him, they tried to make a big deal about him and tried to tear him down, but it just didn't seem to stick. Like, nothing negative has really seemed to stick for him. And so I don't see him having an issue. I mean, of course they're going to try to make an issue because they don't want him there, but I just don't see an issue with him getting through. Now, technically, Tulsi would be his boss, right? Is FBI?
No, Pam Bondi.
Ah, right. So CIA is under intelligence, FBI is under justice.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess my follow-up question is that what the MAGA base wants, a depoliticized FBI? I think what the MAGA base wants is for him to go after Donald Trump's political enemies that went after him.
100%.
Like, don't care about, like, we chanted lock her up for months and then you did nothing. Don't you dare do that to us again, kind of thing. That's the energy I feel from the MAGA.
Yeah,
Charles?
me too.
Charles?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Let's talk about Vivek, rhymes with cake, Ramaswamy. Michael's favorite human being in the world Michael agrees with Vivek that American culture sucks. So let's talk about Vivek. American culture cannot produce.
Did you see that clip of him with Andrew Schultz?
Why don't you just wait for the show to go on, Charles?
Better. And if you think about
Do you see who he's sitting with? The clip that I pulled up before you said that? Andrew Schultz. You're welcome.
about it, Silicon Valley, right, has been at the bleeding edge of the American economy for the last 20 years, just by market capitalization, by innovation. I think the Ohio River Valley can be the
You want to
bleeding edge of
bring
innovation
Silicon
for the next
Valley
20
to
years.
Ohio.
Even one step more than that, to go to the next level where Silicon Valley isn't in terms of production.
Whoa.
Because I do think that's going to be the next wave of actual true innovation in America, is actually producing semiconductors.
But how do you do that? You think you
Producing
just
AI
like
data
get a
centers.
lot more H-1B visas in
Roll
Ohio?
backwards. It starts with rolling back the
How do you do
regulatory
with these
state.
retard Americans, bro?
Well,
we just got
Charles, he said the R word.
Americans
That's
here. in
it.
this
Yeah,
country.
yeah.
There's no way we can figure out
Speak for
engineering.
yourself,
There's four
man.
of us right here.
Yeah,
right?
there's like four
Yeah.
retards right here trying to figure out what the managerial class is. So you know
We're
what
too dumb.
You know what the sad part is?
Yes.
We're actually, some people say that.
What do you
Some
mean?
people say that. Some
Yeah, I
people
know.
say
He's
that
sitting on the
there's an IQ
couch right now.
differential.
What's that? He's sitting right here. The guy who says it.
No, actually. So to the contrary,
Okay, yeah.
because I said this in my now infamous tweet.
He got
I would
No, he got hacked. He
that. That was all me.
The next
In
tweet
fact,
should have said
the
that.
problem with me with my tweets is nobody else reads them before I put them out.
Yeah, well, anyhow, so Vivek it seems like he's doing a little like apology tour, a little charm tour, if you will, trying to get back in the good graces of the regular people, trying to do a Donald J.D. Vance going on podcast, trying to show his real, I'm just a regular guy, just like you guys, no big deal. I'm going to bring the Silicon Valley to Ohio Valley. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is going to work. I think he really shit himself.
I mean, with the American public, sure. I think he could. From what I was seeing,
With the Indian public, you think he's going to still be great, huh? Because the H-1Bs?
I'm sorry.
You said with the American public, no, but I mean, I don't know what other public matters. Would it be the
Well,
Indian
the
public?
American public as a national audience. I think in Ohio he can still do really well. The polling seems to indicate he's doing decently well in Ohio, and I think he can separate himself from that tweet running on a state-based scale like that. I think if he was going to run for president again, like that tweet's going to haunt him for I think that's going to be there. But we'll see. I think he's trying to find his next thing now. I mean, he got kicked out of Doge. Him and Elon had they came to loggerheads, I guess, and he got kicked out. And Trump, said, I'm siding with one and not the other. And now he's trying to figure out where to go. And so he's doing the podcast circuit to try to revamp that image.
I think Vivek, I'm sitting here trying to pinpoint what the issue is. He's almost too buttoned up. He's like almost too like uptight or too uppity or like, you know what I'm saying?
What?
He's not a common man, like he needs to spend some time on the farm or something. Like
what?
he needs to like build a tree house or something. Like, I don't know. I love Vivek, not as much as Brad Swale loves Vivek, but he's a little bit know-it-all, and I think it's rubbing people the wrong way. But what I'll say about his future, it lies in the hands of JD Vance, because if JD Vance goes to the mat for him in Ohio, he's going to be governor.
Well, I think he is too buttoned up. Like, he went on that podcast, he like wear something else and sit down and like be a normal person. You went on the Breakfast Club, wear something else, sit down. He wants to be the everyman, but yet that's not him, and so it's not meshing. So it's either try harder or just lean into who you are. Like, you look like you should be at a Forbes interview, not a Breakfast Club or Andrew Schultz interview, and it just doesn't come across as authentic because it's not him. He tries to like be cool and laid back, and it just doesn't sell.
Yeah.
You see that a lot, I think, when these politicians try to remove themselves, and some of them do it swimmingly. Some of them are really good at it, and then others are not.
He'd been leaving us breadcrumbs about this when he put out those videos of him playing tennis. Yes, exactly.
He did bring up about he was a little bit too buttoned up, kind of not. He was wearing a suit to the Breakfast Club. Give me a break. Maybe he should wear this. Boom.
Yeah, but who plays tennis?
Right. It's an expensive sport.
My son plays tennis. Look at him. Look at him. Can I? Anyhow.
No,
pick up golf.
About what he's wearing isn't specifically about what he's wearing, but it's a part of the whole thing. It's sort of the whole package. And so when he does do interviews like that, it doesn't come across as authentic.
Yeah, especially when you're doing an apology tour and you're apologizing for calling Americans idiots.
Well,
that's not what he said.
Yes, he did.
He literally
he didn't.
He said, "You guys are so stupid. Y'all can't even get jobs, and y'all mad at everybody else."
That's not what he said. But we already had this argument, so we don't need to relitigate it. But that's not what he said. And yeah, I don't know. He
literally tweeted, "Y'all stay broke and be mad."
He had too much success too early, and he doesn't have that, like, I don't know, relatable trait that people can grab onto, like Trump.
Fair.
Very relatable. When I think of Trump, I think of relatable. So
Trump is able to make himself relatable in any situation. That's the thing. For someone of his caliber and status.
He's very charming. He's very charming. I agree. Very, very charming. I love it. It's great. You don't need to tell me. All right. I voted for the guy. Calm down. So let's bring it to I don't think that Vivek's gonna. I think he's toast.
What if JD jumps in the Ohio race and endorses him and campaigns for him? He wins.
I mean, all you got to do is pull. I mean, in Ohio, all they got to do is competitor. All it just needs to pull up that tweet and be like, "This guy thinks you're an idiot." So sorry, I don't think it's going to work.
We'll see, but I think JD's support can overcome that.
Well, maybe so. He needs to actually apologize for that. Like, look, that was stupid. My wife wrote that. So I don't know if we're going to. Let's bring it back to stateside, and by stateside I mean Texas side. Is Texas going to get school choice? Is it going to be real school choice? That's what everyone keeps talking about here in Texas. Corey DeAngelis keeps telling us it's going to happen. It's happening, guys. It's happening. He told us that like 1,000 times last session. It didn't happen. They're telling us it's going to happen this session. I think there's SB2 is a school choice bill. Is that right, Michael?
Yep.
Okay.
Education Freedom Act.
What? Education Freedom Act. Cool.
It's going to
So
happen.
Donald Trump sent out, he has the Expanding Educational Freedom and Opportunity for Families executive order. It's a policy of my administration to support parents in choosing and directing the upbringing and education of their children. Within 60 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Education shall issue guidance regarding how states can use federal formula funds to support K through 12 educational support initiatives.
Wow.
Is that like, does that make it more likely to pass in Texas? We can use federal funds now. Aren't we supposed to be? Isn't Linda McMahon supposed to be doing like a, I don't know, give me a suplex on the Department of Education and like destroying that thing?
Yeah, that's supposed to be the plan. I think he's going to tie federal funding to states that have school choice programs, which is actually quite a few. Texas is way behind the rest of the nation. I think it's 33, I think is the number. Maybe it's 31, 33, something like that. So I think he's going to tie some of the funding to go to states that only states that have school choice. Yeah, Texas is going to pass it. The question is, what is the final package look like? I think it's going to, pretty sure it's going to pass. Senate came out with a bill.
See it pass.
Huh?
I said I'd be hard pressed to not see it pass. I mean, I don't see a world in which it doesn't pass this session. I mean, when it looks like big TBD, but yes, I mean, I don't see how it doesn't pass. And Sunday's coming up. Abbott's State of the State is on Sunday, and I'm sure going to make it a he's going to make I'm sure he's going to make it
comment.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I got distracted. We've got a viewer, T. Nice to meet you. Thanks for tuning in. She said, we need an anti-vaxxer who was addicted to heroin or heroin, depending on who you ask, for 14 years to make important healthcare decisions for children. ! No medicine or vaccines, just horse deworming paste and fish tank cleaner.
Well, horse deworming paste, ivermectin, is medicine, and I think parents can still make decisions, healthcare decisions for their children. I don't know if RFK Jr. is not going to be making decisions for my kids. I don't know about that.
He's going to give you the freedom to make the decision for yourself, even if it's not to get vaxxed. And I hate to tell you, T, but the people who've been leading HHS for the last, 60 years haven't done a very good job. 60% of Americans are suffering from obesity. We have the worst chronic health crisis in the world right now. So I think we're willing to take a chance on a guy who's a disruptor and looking to do things a little bit differently.
Now, Charles, you said you called T a she, and I wonder, are you calling T a she because of the heart emojis?
Well,
I mean, T can certainly chime in and maybe say.
Sorry, I don't know who T. Yes, either. Yes,
I mean, if you're a guy using two heart emojis to start off a comment and you end with a heart emoji, you're maybe a girl.
We may have lost T after I started talking, so
that's a shame. Sorry, T.
Thanks for the comments. We do appreciate it.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, school choice. School choice is it going to pass? You, Charles, you're saying you can't imagine a world where it doesn't pass.
Yeah, at this point.
Okay.
You don't think house politics has some chance of killing school choice?
Sure. No, I mean, listen, anything, I would never say nothing is 0% from happening, but I just don't. So like after what they went through last primary, after how popular it's become, how the full onslaught that we've seen over the past year, I just don't see how something named school choice does not pass.
I'm with you.
Okay. An interesting conversation, guys. I really appreciate it. Well, I think we're at the end of the show, coming up on an hour here. It's been a real pleasure speaking with both of you. I love every moment of it. I can't wait for next week. Honestly, if I could just if I had a time machine, fuck the pyramids. I'm going to next Friday. You know what I mean? You're okay. Well,
I'm going to the pyramids.
Everyone says the pyramids, but why? Like, why not something else? Like,
what else?
I mean, go back to when the world was flat.
There. I'm already there.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding.
We are, of course, the BCM podcast. Thank you for listening. Please share this episode with your friends and family and uncles and aunts and moms. I hope everyone is doing well. Follow us on Twitter and share it. I think Charles is ending it now.